What up? What is up? This is episode 2. There's actually nothing in that coffee cup. But I didn't need to say that because if you're only listening to this and you weren't watching it, you wouldn't know that I just embarrassed myself by drinking out of a coffee cup that had nothing in it. But whatever. This is podcast 2. News update. If you're following us on Instagram, you'll see we've been working on the rollers in the box jump section. So this podcast will probably be a little more specific to bikers because the jump line isn't for anything else at the moment. But if you ever jumped it on your bike, you would know that it is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I try to warn everyone that looks like they might want to jump the box jumps. I'm like, yo, listen, dude. The rollers are deadly. I mean, like, they're bad. Like, you're going to go slow, and then because I said they're bad, and then you're going to be like, oh my God, they're like really bad. So what happened with that is when you build a box jump line like that, you're trying to mimic dirt jumps. And if you ever built dirt jumps, it's super time consuming, and you're fighting the elements, but they're great if you get it right. And what will happen is you build a jump, you build the landing, you try to jump it, you're like, oh, that's kind of weird, you know? So you take it out of the shovel, you shave the lip down, make it a little mellower, maybe pat it down a little farther. Maybe you got to throw a bunch of dirt in the landing, make it a little foot farther. Because ideal jumps don't require pedaling. You take one crank, you roll in, and then you just flow. So when you build them out of wood, if you don't get it right, the problem is you can't just shave it down. You have to take it all apart. It becomes like a 2-day ordeal. You know, if you're paying people to do it, it's going to cost you, money. And money isn't free. So, it's a pain in the dick. Probably should watch my mouth. Whatever. So, if you've ridden the box jump line, you come off the old cranks box, you hit the cheater wall, and then you come at the rollers. And the idea behind the rollers was we wanted experienced riders that were going at a fast pace to be able to eat some speed and slow down before the hip. And we wanted, beginner riders to be able to cruise through them and gain some speed and get that pump tracky kind of feel. And, well, it just didn't work. It's funny, before you layer them and they're just all wood slats, just the 2x4s, they look great. Ramps look great with that wood on them. Then you put the wood on them and you see the transition and you're like, oh man. We built those and we're like, these are really, really tight. It's going to be a problem. But whatever. We'll do it. We'll rebuild them later. So those rollers are deadly. I think we had a couple people crashed on them. One kid kind of got hurt, but it wasn't a real big deal. And people always say stuff, oh, when are you going to fix them? When are you going to fix them? It's like, it's not that easy, dude. It's really not that easy. And so yesterday, I was like, let's go for it. Grabbed the screw gun and just started ripping it apart. I've been thinking about it for a while. Believe me, I know what's wrong at the park. I know where the holes are. I know where the ramps are flexing. It's just, it never ends. Never ends. So much abuse on the ramps. They're constantly breaking. So I had gone to Joyride 150 in Toronto. I've been to Raise a few times in Cleveland. Went to the wheel mill last year. I did a bunch of, what I would call market research. And in fact, we did some videos called Market Research that were on our YouTube. Maybe I'll put a link in the description on those. I did that again this year. Really, at Joyride, paid attention. Looked at the pump track and the spacing and tried to figure out, like, well, why are these good and mine are like the worst thing in the world? So then I was like, all right, cool. Took some pictures, took some dimensions. I was like, all right. Then I looked at the space that we were working with, and I was like, well, okay, how can I kind of take what I learned and make this into a more effective roller that maybe I'm not going to die, or at least feel like I'm going to die when I roll through them. So that's what we did. We took out if you're heading from the cheater wall, the first set that kind of goes up and then up. We're going to take the channel out of the top of that, so that should smooth that whole section out. Then we had a double roller and a single roller. We took out the single roller. We took the double roller. we cut down the first roller by, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 inches. And the 5 or 6 inches in height turns out that it would actually pull it back about 8 inches in distance. Then we added 6 inches in the middle, in the valley between the two. So now it's like they were 22 inches or so. And now it's maybe 14 inches to 22 inches, and they're longer. It's like a step up roller. And we spaced it right in the middle rather than having the double roller. So now you come off the first rollers, there's a good amount of flat, and we push the roller far enough back that you can actually turn back into the big line, although you're not allowed to transfer. But if you were to, it's smooth there now. And then after the rollers, there's a nice good amount of flat bottom. It's not too tight. Hopefully I'll have it smoothed out later today. Hopefully by Wednesday, which that would be, I don't know, the 20th or the 19th or whatever. They should be good to go. But then I'm going to dig in on that hip berm junction. Ultimately, that hip berm junction is going to be just a gigantic, big berm. But that's going to be a major project, and it's going to be a lot of work. So what I'm going to do this week is probably just the berm shot on top of the hip. We're going to kind of take that off and change the angle, move it a little closer, rotate it a little bit so that when you come off that sheet, that little curve wall, you're not heading towards the big line. You're actually going to stay within a small line. This is pretty specific to bikes and the big line. So it is what it is. There is a video on our YouTube channel that breaks down the box jump line, but it actually was the old box jump line when we had 2 lines, a small line and a big line. Last year we reinvested like 15 grand into that line. Lumber is so expensive, dude. Like, people think I get mad when the windows break. Like, I don't get mad when the windows break. It's like, when the windows break, it costs me what, like $8 for a piece of glass. But when a piece of plywood is broken, that's like $30. Whenever you look inside one of those ramps, you gotta think every 2x4 is $2 and change. Every sheet of plywood's like $20 or $30. All the masonite is like $15 a sheet, and it adds up really quick. So I'll use that to segue into why the box jump line is only bikes. And for the most part, it's because they're very bike specific. Like, the scooter kids want to ride it. That one guy that came to the park, the scooter pro rider, that thought he was really cool. What do you ride for, Lucky or something? Ugh. I'm not in scooters or pro scooters or anything. I'm ucking the type of mentality that some people have, where they think they're better than other people. Well, I'm from so and so, or I'm this, or I'm that, so I should get to break the rules. And it's like, no one's above the rules. It's my skate park. I pay a lot of money for the insurance, so even I wear a helmet because that's what the insurance says. There's rules for a reason. So anyway, the box jump line is for bikes because it's mostly made for bikes. The scooter kids want to ride it, and it's not like they're not fun like, I'm going to 720 this box jumps. They're fun like, I'm just going to float and coast. They're kind of steep. You got to get up there, your nose in. It's like, whoop, smack the lip, whoop, pow. They're fun just to jump them. They're not like trick boxes. So that's one reason. Second reason is because they're not good. Not that they're not good. They're just not there yet. I fully believe, in maybe 2 years, every year, reinvesting more time into the ramps, redoing this landing, redoing that lip. And once they're right, once they're all good and right and perfect, and we figure out how to make that bridge more useful, then I'll invest the money to put all the masonite on it. And then it'll be open for everyone. And it'll be fun and it'll be great. It's just, we're not there yet. I'm not going to... I wouldn't even know off the top of my head how many sheets of masonite I need to do that. It'd probably be like 100 sheets of masonite. And then the man hours. So you're talking, it probably cost me a couple $1,000 to put masonite on that. And for what? It's not going to be utilized that much for those riders. and then we're going to have to take it all off to rebuild it, and then then you're going to recut the masonite. So it's just not worth it yet. But one day we'll get there. I promise. I promise. One day, you scooter kids can just freely cruise the box jumps. But we're not there yet. But we're working on it. Believe me. I know what's wrong. We're trying to fix it. I'm really hopeful that this roller project is going to, make the box jump line a lot better. Especially redoing the hip junction with the berm shot on top. With the roller smoothed out and the hip better, you'll be able to get to the last two box jumps with a little more speed, a little more control, and then you'll be able to utilize those boxes a little bit better. Like right now, it's hard to tell whether the last two box jumps are really that effective because it's just hard to get to them well. So, step by step, we're going to get there. That's my 10 minutes. I'm done there. So anyway, yeah, you know the deal. It's breakingfree.com/podcast, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and all those platforms, and YouTube and iTunes, make sure you hit subscribe, give us a 5-star review there. It helps bump us up on the algorithms. On YouTube, feel free to shoot me a comment. I'll pretty much reply to any comment. If anything you want to hear talked about in the podcast, my original mindset was do one a week. But if you guys keep asking me questions about stuff, I'd love to. Honestly, my whole life is nothing but skate parks. It's nothing but I basically live there. This week with the kids on break, I'll be there for like 90 hours or something. So feel free to shoot me a message or a comment, whatever. You know what I'm saying. Walk the walk, talk the talk, shred the gnar. I'm out.